Was 61 years old of dim vision in his left eye. He was being taken up for surgery by peribulbar block and his preoperative visual acuity was 1/60. There was no history of ocular pain when the patient presented 2 weeks ago to the OPD. The anterior segment was found to be normal, and the consultant ophthalmologist who saw the patient was quite convinced that the cornea, the pupillary dilation, and everything else was in order. Hence, when I saw a steamy cornea under the operating microscope associated with a rock-hard eye and a very shallow anterior chamber, I was quite taken aback. And I ordered for intravenous mannitol, and while the patient was getting the IV mannitol, 100 cc bolus, I contemplated as to what could be the possible cause for such a situation to have occurred. Could it be a retrobulbar hemorrhage? A retrobulbar hemorrhage would have definitely led to proptosis and an increase in the intraocular pressure, but there would definitely be an associated tightening of the eyelids, which was absent in this case. Well, the other options that could be considered is that the patient suddenly developed lens intumescence over a 1 week period, because 2 weeks ago when he was examined in the OPD was normal, and also the lens thickness was normal and the anterior chamber depth was normal when biometry was performed. Or could it have been a case of an acute congestive attack which was brought on by pupillary dilatation just before the surgery? I resumed the surgery 10 minutes after starting the patient on intravenous mannitol. And the first thing I needed to do was to improve the visibility of the anterior chamber, which I achieved by abrading the corneal epithelium with an iris repositor. Now, after abrading the corneal epithelium, there was a significant improvement in the visibility of anterior chamber details, as you can see. The patient was also squeezing his eyes, and therefore I fashioned a corneal pocket incision in order to center the eye as well as to take fixation. While creating the side port incision, I noticed that there was an iris bombay or a bunching up of the iris near the periphery, which caused the trypan blue cannula to get snagged when attempting to insert it into the eye. The clear corneal incision was crafted very carefully. I gave sufficient length to this incision to discourage the iris prolapse through the incision. The combination of positive pressure along with a very shallow anterior chamber contributed to a very difficult capsulorhexis, and I was only able to complete it after several stops of viscoelastic top-up. The next was cortical cleavage hyperdissection. During cortical cleavage hydrodissection, I noticed that even a very small amount of fluid which was injected caused a dramatic anterior shift of the cataract with narrowing of the pupil. The cause for this was not apparent to me at that time. I finally achieved adequate hydrodissection and decided to move on to phacoemulsification. And I entered the anterior chamber with the irrigation of under viscoelastic cover in order to prevent iris from prolapsing.